so much, Sajjad. That was a wonderful session. And once again, you guys are great. Thank you so very much for participating. With that, we come to the end of our conference today. I'd like to thank you all for being a part of this truly sought leadership program over here today. You were great with your interaction and your questions, and the team at Talent Accelerator is ecstatic and really grateful for having you all here. With that, I'm just going to be calling upon Sajjad to conclude the event. Thank you so much once again. Please, big round of applause for you.
Everyone for being here, spending the day with us. I hope our intention of giving you at least 2, 3, 4 insights and ideas, I think we've tried to fulfill it. Please give us feedback, especially give us feedback with what was not nice and what you didn't like, so we can try and make sure that doesn't happen again. I want to end the session by sharing this framework. I didn't get a chance to share with this earlier. And the reason for sharing this feedback on this model, and I call this a people integrated model. This is something that I have used over the years, and I find this really, really powerful for one simple reason. Anything and everything that we do in the people function, right? And let's simplify everything that we do in the people function into the talent side of things. I'm oversimplifying it, and the reward side of things. And of course, in Pakistan and most of India, we've got a huge black hole from a reward side, but assuming everything we do has talent and from a reward perspective, must follow, and this is just one model, maybe your companies have a model that's far more simpler and effective, but it must follow these 3 or 4 steps. Everything that we do ultimately starts from the business goals. Whether it's your top line, your bottom line, whether it's profitability, whether it's product innovation, pipelines, market share, that's the business model, right? The org design of your organizational structure, right, must be linked to what you're trying to do from a business perspective. What's the shape of the organization, right? What kind of reporting relationships you will have? Is your organizational structure by market? Is it by product or categories? Is it by service lines, right? And that will change depending upon what kind of business you're running. What kind of spans of control you will have, right? And understanding the org structure will help us understand what kind of jobs and roles and people you need to have in the organization. This will help you identify what kind of critical skill sets you need to have. Are there niche skills? Some are generic, some are very industry specific. It will also help you identify critical roles and critical talent in the organization. Those we like to call mission critical and even top talent, right? And once you have a very good understanding of all of the first 3 steps, it makes actually the last step much easier. Because if you understand, what the roles are, what the people are, what kind of challenges, what kind of gaps, then plugging any solution from a talent and reward perspective becomes a lot easier. But you must link the first 3 very closely together. Challenges, unfortunately, and based on my experience and I speak to a lot of my friends in network, 8 out of 10 companies don't do this well. We are very reactive to just provide solutions from a talent and reward perspective, not really understanding is the org structure optimized for business performance or not. And we miss a cue there. And so the purpose of showing this is that as you think about your businesses and how we support the business agenda, the step number 2 and step number 3 becomes very important. Many times when leaders have come to us for a problem, we don't even talk about from compensation perspective. We say, tell me what the problem is, show me your org structure, tell me about your roles, tell me about your people. Because many times what we assume the problem is or the solution is, it's actually something else. And so understanding these steps is very, very important. And this will also help us become a bit more strategic. Rather than being reactive, this will help us take a step back, be a bit more thoughtful, think about the framework before we apply solutions. So with that, I thank you all for coming. I'm really grateful for your presence and partnership. If you have time, if you stay, we'll do a quick roadshow on what Talent Accelerator is going to bring to the market. We also still have teams of Abhi and Healthwire still here. I still encourage, if you want to have a discussion with them, find out the whole purpose of employee experience. And we've heard throughout the day, the whole concept of wellness, whether it's financial, emotional, is going to drive and is going to impact the whole concept of employee experience to a great extent. So I please encourage you, have a discussion with them, just find out. All right, please feel free to leave if you need to rush. I'm going to take about 15 minutes to go through this as quickly as I can. Just want to share basically what we're going to do and what we're going to bring to the Pakistani market. In a very simple way, we're going to do 3 things. The first one in red is advisory services. And essentially, we're going to focus on 2 things. One is what we call design strategy framework. We could actually, and design means coming up with new programs that are retrofitted to your company. Right? Every company, and if you have 25 companies, every company is different here. So design work is really linked to what you need and to the framework I just talked about. So we don't design on its own, we try to understand what do you need for your company. And equally important actually is the implementation and communication side of it. I will tell you that over the whatever 20 years that I've been working, one of the big gaps is around, as an example, benefits communication. Your employees actually don't know what you offer. You know, I would probably say 95% of companies do a lot of things for the employees just don't know. And so it's not just about designing amazing things. You can design an amazing program. If you don't communicate it well, if you don't communicate your bonus plan well, for example, or a sales incentive plan well, you know, you've lost. So we're going to do design and implementation, but we're also and we're going to engage this a little bit more. We're going to try and offer a retainer model. What is a retainer model? Let's say you've got 30 companies looking for a compensation person, right? But there are only 10 people available, right? So we're not going to be able to service the entire market, and that's happening in Pakistan. I talked about this earlier in the day. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and bring a retainer model where we're going to try and service you not maybe 5 days a week, but maybe 2 days a week. And we're going to plug and play. So for one project, we might bring in somebody who's an expert in benchmarking, for example, but we might bring somebody else who's great with the design element. Because we want to help as many people as we can. One-to-one relationship is not going to work. And we talked about skill set and skill-based jobs. That's exactly what it is. We're not going to be able to fulfill the demand and the need in the market. So that's the advisory services and retainer model. I'll talk about the learning interventions and technology tool quickly. How and where will we advise and what will we advise on? This is just an example of that. The total reward framework. This is basically our reward professionals' bread and butter. 70% of what we do is mentioned here. So it's not just basic pay. So we do a little bit more than just managed pay. And so, like I said, design work and implementation. But like I talked about, reward communications. We talked about performance management so much because there's such a huge impact, both from the upstream perspective, but also the downstream perspective. The leaders also talk about reward differentiation. How do you link business performance to performance at the individual level and drive really ruthless reward differentiation, right? So this is the area, and I'm sorry the formatting is out a little bit, but that's basically that's what we can offer. We're calling these learning interventions because I don't think we can train anybody in 2 days. I sincerely believe that. What we're going to do is we have created programs where we will try to give you small shock therapy. And what that means is that our programs are going to be, they're going to make you a little bit uncomfortable because we're going to make you do hard work. Reward, you cannot learn by going through a presentation or taking an online course. I'm sorry I'm very blunt, but you don't learn reward like that. You need to open an Excel file and you need to do the dirty work. So we're going to launch Reward 101. I've done a couple of programs in Pakistan before. Anybody who has no idea about reward will do a 1-day crash course. The 5 things you need to know to start having a conversation. We'll do a master class for people who are in reward, but sometimes they can't get the right answers. Again, we've done a couple of master class here, and the feedback was very positive because there were some technical questions they couldn't get an answer to, or they can't sometimes piece things together and look at things a bit more holistically. So this is going to be again case-based, 2 days, a little bit hardcore. And something that we're going to launch, which I don't think exists anywhere in the market right now, is a reward certification. This is going to be 6 to 8 weeks, very hardcore, almost like a university program. We're going to give you homework. We're going to give you global and regional case studies, that we've come across, and we're going to ask you to pretend like you're a regional reward lead for a big corporation. And again, very heavy case-based. And I would say that unless you're in a sizable company doing a big role, this actually HR heads can also attend this because this is going to be totally strategic in the way we're going to manage this. But again, 6 to 8 weeks commitment is going to be a little bit expensive. I'm going to try and actually get Aman, definitely I'm going to reach out to, but more speakers regionally and even in Pakistan who really have the portfolio to drive some of these conversations. So that's something that we're going to launch. We talked a lot about performance management. It just ended with coaching. The purpose of this one day, we're not going to make you an expert in performance management. The only purpose of this program, and this is a model that we've created in Tadp Accelerator, that we need to drive these 5 conversations throughout the year, right? I joke with my friends that I'm still waiting for my developer conversations after 20 years. My managers always say we'll do it in February, it never happens. Our job, and again, based on the feedback as well from our leaders early in the day, managers don't have conversations or the right level of conversations. And we're going to get managers to practice 4 or 5 times at least one of those conversations and how does it look like. And we're going to give them tips. We can do this so we have 2 models for this. We can do train the trainer, so we train our HR managers to be able to have this training for their leaders or their managers, or we can do it directly for the managers themselves. So you find out that your sales team are not having the right conversation, we'll do it for you. And again, the focus is to bring maturity at the manager level so they're able to have the right conversations, coaching conversations, even normal conversations. I've had so many people tell me, oh, I speak to my manager once in 6 months, and they sit right across from my table. That's not gonna help. This is something that, again, we've developed, we're calling our Tadp Framework, at least in my view, and there are many, if you Google, there are many platforms available. I think this is 95% in terms of what an EVP should consider. Right? You've got 4 quadrants, and I've underlined career and total reward, but because again, performance management really impacts both the total reward side, but also the career side. One day, but again, very heavy case based, and ideally we're going to target senior leaders for this, because this is again going to be thought leadership. We're going to go into the depth of what an EVP looks like. Do you have an EVP? If you do, what's good about it, what's not good about it. So it's going to be really hard dialogues, just like many of the conversations we've had today. Lastly, we're going to do, depending upon the audience, 1 or 2 day people analytics. And if you look at Gartner's research, and it makes complete sense, essentially there are 3 areas why this needle hasn't moved in many of the corporations. We talked about this whole day. Henry obviously talked about this as well. This is a no-go. We have to become an expert in analytics. We talk about being strategic. This is us being strategic, and it's about building the knowledge, building the behavior, and building the mindset. And I can tell you from example that leaders have very strong opinions on things. If you take the right analytics to them, the level of discussion you will drive is going to be absolutely amazing. So those are the learning interventions we're going to launch. And lastly, very quickly, tech tools. We are actually working on a couple of tech tools. The first one and the third one are linked together. Unfortunately, we are still about, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks away. My tech team at the back is sitting there who's asking me very difficult questions all the time. But we're really trying our best to close these tools as soon as possible. The first one is what we're calling the total offer modeler. This is to automate the hiring process. Now, it's a nice tool to have, and you may be like, yeah, but we're still making offers, what's the problem? I would say the problem is that we never pay attention and we never collect the data on hiring and what kind of analytics that we can drive, point number 1. And we're going to link the science and the methodology of the first tool to drive live benchmarking. And again, this is not the time for it, but I'm happy to explain it other time. And so, assuming 6 to 9 months time, if you use this tool, and assuming let's say the 15 companies in industry use this tool, in 6 to 9 months time, we'll be able to give you live benchmarks. So no need for salary surveys. We can actually give you in 6 to 9 months time, if we have enough data points, either in industry cut or sometimes even for specific jobs, what the live market benchmarks are. And we're very happy to offer 6 months free for everybody. So that you get used to it. Like I said, data is the new language. We have to get familiar with this. Unfortunately, we haven't moved the needle in reward as far as tools are concerned. This is going to be our attempt to try and, as much as possible, move the needle, but also bring the power of analytics to drive real decision making. Lastly, I know we don't have a lot of companies here, but we're very happy to, again, do an all-industry survey if companies are interested. Paul and I tried this 3 times. We succeeded once, we failed twice. We'll do it again. We'll do an all-industry survey with our methodology, which I don't think exists in the market, which is very different. But we did do it once and we were very successful. If we get enough companies in an industry, we'll do an industry cut as well. What we do guarantee is that if you ask us any questions around the result, we can give you an answer. Which is unfortunately something that's not available right now because many of the other companies cannot answer why you are having either 0 data points or the data quality is so poor. We'll guarantee that and we'll also give you state-of-the-art analytics. And lastly, we're going to try and launch a couple of more total hardcore reward conferences, hopefully in November, something that we just came around. And there's a lot of feedback from people who could not join us, who had to fly in even outside of Pakistan. We're going to do one day in Lahore and Karachi, again, local speakers and international speakers. And we've touched about some topics, but we're going to go deep again. Thought leadership, both in terms of education and awareness. Eileen talked about equity plans. What are equity plans? I know most companies, it does not impact, but many people want to learn about equity plans. We could do another one on emotional wellness, on coaching, go a step deeper. Again, very heavily focused towards total reward. And we'll do one, open it for everybody, one in Karachi and one in Lahore. And if you want to be, if you want to partner with us, please let us know. And lastly, the team, Mahas could not be here, and Sherry is with me in Singapore. We've worked together for the past 10 years. Like I said, the retainer model, we actually have a team that's ready to go. So if companies need help and they come to us, obviously I can't do anything, I don't know much, but I do know a lot of people who do know amazing things about reward, and I can reach out to them and they can work with us. We've got a tech team here who's working on amazing tools. And we also have Tanmeel, who's here taking a picture right now, who's our digital marketing guru, telling me all the new things about digital marketing stuff, which I don't know. So that's the team. I thank you for your attention. And if there is anything that we can do, we'll be happy to help. Thank you so much for staying, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you.